A Wednesday that's already living up to her name.
Other way.
What the
abs.
Hale County is going on?
Ugh.
I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP, literally having a What the Hell County Wednesday. We're so glad.
What the hell, County?
What the Hell County? To see you guys today.
Ugh.
We have a call to action at the end of the show today.
What is it?
Well, it has to do with our friend who sent us information about female genital mutilation. We're going to carry this on.
So exciting.
I'll actually, thanks to you and her information, I'm going to send you a video by tonight, JP. Actually, I had one and I couldn't get the words out. Anywho, but it's Wednesday, everybody. And you know what Wednesday means? Wednesday means hot flash news. Wednesday means we have an interview with Sam Gavan, which will be great. And it also means general mayhem in the news before and after that interview. You don't want to go anywhere, especially not because Allison Sinclair sent us a text this morning that said, I've been in the woods for an hour and a half. What happened?
Did I conclude the saga yesterday with that at the end after we had a John Deere, a mule, and a four-wheeler and two sets of neighbors out that we remembered that we had a giant Jeep that had a winch on it?
You did.
Did.
You let us know about that.
Okay. Well, turns out we have a giant Jeep that we didn't buy for the winch. It's just a cool looking Jeep and we just drive it. And so we forgot. So literally my eyeballs had just opened. Jared opened the door. The two dogs, including the puppy that caused this whole thing, come running in. Jared's like, we gotta go back to the woods. Go put your boots on. We get in the Jeep. We start, okay. If you're pulling in, and listeners text in about this. The stuck, well, we started wrapping the winch around a tree, like the line around a tree.
Yeah.
So that when we pulled the line in, it would pull the truck, because the truck was kind of at an angle from where we were going to have to be in the Jeep. So we thought, well, we'll go around the tree and back in. So it's like pulling the truck straight. I don't think that's the physics way it didn't work very well.
No.
We just almost sawed down the tree.
Oh, of course you did.
So that took us a little while. Then the other neighbor, not the one yesterday, came down, and she's really smart. She's some financial advisor, and she starts going, I really think the angle of direction of the physics is not correct. So we go and we hook it straight up, and looks like if you start moving the tires, like you can get some traction. Anyway, we did it. We almost flipped the Jeep. We almost didn't do it, but we finally did. Jared almost ran into the Jeep.
Right.
I literally had to slam on the horn because he almost backed straight into it. You know, when it finally catches and you're like, whoa, we're out of the mud. But anyway, we're good. But it did take it about an hour and a half this morning. So I apologize. I wasn't late, but I learned a lot. I learned some new skills. If we're ever stuck again, I got you.
You know what? Maybe we'll just get stuck on purpose so you can use your newly found skills.
It was a whole, I felt like I was back in college. It was a physics lesson.
Is your new skill, whenever you get stuck in the mud, you pick up the phone and call somebody
That's
to do
the
it?
lame way. That is the lame way. We are determined. We don't need help, JP. We don't. When you have Jared Sinclair, you do not need help.
Well, okay, so was it still muddy or did it just dry up? Well, I guess technically if it dried up, it'd make it worse, right? Because it would
Like
lock you
cement
in.
around the tire, but with dirt.
No,
Yeah.
it was still muddy. I mean, where we were was very much like a swamp bog. Then at one point we thought the Jeep was stuck. It was a comedy of errors. Then the winch kind of popped and wouldn't start winding up again. You know how life is.
Yeah, I do.
But in the end, we prevailed. We did not give up.
I'm glad you didn't give up.
I apologize for not being here for the serious show prep we do. I don't know what we're doing today. Haven't even looked at your text. I did write down some interview questions for Sam Gavan. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a great show.
I was but let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
In the interview and it just flows and we start asking questions.
And
so
Sam Gavan's have you ever met him?
I think we've talked to him one time a while back. So it'll be great. This will be fun. He's a good guy. And I look forward to talking to him. But yes, while I was driving, the text came through and I was like, I can't. I'm on the hill right at the place where the cops like to sit in my neighborhood. If you leave my neighborhood and you go past the townhome section.
Yeah. Oh, I know
like
exactly
to sit
where.
Right there. And then they go up over the hill and they sit where the Frisbee park is. If you want to have some real fun, you're going to go to the Frisbee park. But I'm kidding. Who knows how to fling the stupid Frisbee disc golf situation?
It's a nice walking
trail. They sit
trail.
right there. It is a great place to walk. Anywho, it's going to be a great day. I do have to make a little announcement. If you saw, well, you haven't seen it yet because I haven't told you. My husband and his practice have a new podcast. It's called The Flush. I listened to it yesterday, every minute of the 1 hour and 25-minute podcast. It's on Spotify and other platforms, but it literally is called The Flush.
And he's a what?
He's a gastroenterologist. And they do have a segment called Don't Hold It In. And they have another segment called Hot Off the Pot. And they talked about parasites.
Oh.
They opened with parasites, but they also ended, as all good storytellers do, start and end in the same place. His co-host is Juliana Hallman, who we know. She's their marketing director. But y'all check it out. You may recognize something in the podcast, like the studio, because they're doing a renovation in their building and they're still settling in on where they're going to record. So don't just listen for the great information or the hilarity. Also, and they did a taste test as well. Also, look for the set. You might recognize it.
By the way, do they need to borrow a sound effect from us?
Actually, they do. You might need to send that to Juliana because she'd use it. Chris even mentioned some of the time wanting sound effects, but it's just a great show. I'm not saying it because it's my husband. I listened pretending like I didn't know him. And I was like, that was actually good.
What's it about? Like, what's the premise? What are they going to bring every week?
I think it's more of a when they record.
Oh, okay.
I think it will turn into every week, but it's gastroenterology. So they get questions from their TikTok audience and from their Insta audience. They talked about colon cancer awareness, but then they have different segments. And so they have listener questions. They take on some of the hot off the pot topics that are out there, like parasites, quackery versus reality. And it was a really interesting segment at the end because they talked about how to recognize it, how to recognize colon cancer symptoms. When is it time for you to get scoped? And they covered a lot, like rapid fire covered a lot along with hilarity. Because I'm sorry, if you cannot laugh at GI, I don't know what you'll laugh at.
Probably don't want to be friends if you can't.
No, they're trying to take the awkwardness out of conversations that they hear every day.
If I ever hear the word duty, I'm giggling.
Oh, I know. Because I said doo-doo one time and then y'all lost it for about 10 minutes.
We did. Duty is funny.
Duty and doo-doo in the same sentence would just, and you said it like, and I mean, you do this thing and it was really funny.
Do you realize
nuggets?
Somebody said that when we were in the State House. Somebody said you do. And I can't remember who we were interviewing, but I was like, keep it together, Shaver. Keep it together.
That would not have been the time to
buttoned
giggle.
Up firstborn daughter that you are.
Although maybe we should have giggled. I was kind of nervous that day. Were you nervous?
No. I was excited.
JP.
Here's what I was nervous about. I liked that we had to get in, set up, and go. It didn't give me time to think. If we'd had more time, I would have been a wreck.
And that's what made me nervous.
I would have been a wreck. But when we sat down, my nerves came in the first 5 questions or so. Because I'm like, we're going to know how this is going to go after answer number 1. And we had to ask those questions that nobody's asked yet.
Are you talking about the Ledbetter
Mhm.
Stahagen
I am
interview?
talking about that interview. The interview that people apparently milled around and were kind of peeking in on. And that's where my nerves were. And then once that got out of the way, I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. No, by the end of it, we were talking about golfing and golf cart karaoke, which was awesome. But that was kind of, I think being somewhere new, that's the first time. What are the chances that that's the first time we take the show on the road? JP and Grayson behind the scenes were like running around, setting up chairs, finding pins, working on mics. Y'all did a great job though.
You did.
That was my first ever remote show doing.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
had a blast though.
I was scared about the dungeon.
Oh, I just wanted food in the cafeteria.
I just
That didn't
wanted to
happen
know where the
either.
butterbean smell was coming from.
The hot dog water.
Yeah. And the hot dog water. Where was that coming from? But literally at one point when we heard something and we didn't see anybody, I'm like, oh crap. Has someone come down for a rendezvous?
It's the ghost of Guy Hunt.
He roams the state house. I'm telling
He
you.
does.
The ghost of Guy Hunt.
Hey,
Republican.
everybody. I'm your governor, Guy Hunt.
And
And I'm a good man,
Can't remember what he looks like.
Which-
Let me-
a precious Southern man.
we got a short coming out of that later this morning.
I
anyways.
can't wait.
But yeah, they're going to get out of this state house to escape the ghost of Guy Hunt. And then they're going to go into the new state house and they're going to be haunted by the ghost of Kay Ivey. So it's not going to,
Wait.
they're not going to
Oh, I can't wait.
That's Guy Hunt.
Could we have a Guy
Is that
and
him?
Kay? Yeah, that's Guy. Guy Hunt. Could we? Oh my word. Everybody. We
What?
need a Guy and Kay conversation and maybe throw in a little Big Jim Folsom just for fun.
How did he talk? I don't know how he talked.
Guy Hunt. I'm Guy Hunt from Holly Pond, Alabama.
Is that where he's from?
I am a preacher first and other things second. And I will be a governor for all the people of Alabama. I'm Guy Hunt. Thank you for your vote.
Wow. He actually was. He
Wow.
was from Holly Pond.
How do you remember this?
Because that was when I was doing all the things.
That way, okay. I didn't. 1987 to 1993,
I was
preceded by George Wallace. His lieutenant governor was Jim Folsom Jr. Harold Guy Hunt.
Oh, I forgot it was Harold.
Harold.
It's my
Harold.
grandfather's name.
It's a good name. Yeah, that was when my I was interning for API in Gary Palmer right around that time. And then there were some other people that were with Guy Hunt that were family friends, the Armisteds. We were family friends with them. And so that's when I got involved. Didn't know what I was doing, but I was still in college and I thought, this is fabulous.
Can I make a
I
confession?
love this.
What?
What?
When I saw Chris Pringle's video or his statement on Guy Hunt, I had to Google who Guy Hunt was.
JP, it's okay. You weren't born yet.
I didn't live in Alabama then, so I have an excuse too. You weren't even around. I had to kind of.
When were you born again?
2003, January of 2003.
Precious.
I wasn't not even alive for 9/11.
You were still a twinkle in your father's eye.
What were you? I had a 1-year-old.
In 2000.
Yeah, you could.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Will,
I forget. He's our kid's age.
I was pregnant with Will, actually.
Hmm.
Had 2 kids already. We lived in Florida, place I call Tampax. Anyway, because I had my car stolen.
Yeah,
Anyway,
y'all could be my moms, you know.
you guys, we never told that story about being at Jim and Nick's in Prattville, and our mystical server served us
Y'all, he
delicious food that day.
ESPN'd my order. It was the most bizarre thing. I ordered a Southern salad, you know, the one that comes with corn and onions. And then he said, cone?
Cone.
Did I say cone?
I love cone.
He comes with cone, grilled corn, cone. Anyway, it comes with vinaigrette and pork. And I said, I would like, this is what it normally comes with. And I said, I would like a Southern salad. And he said, with chicken and ranch. And I was like,
RWG order right there.
and then he said something weird. He said, I do palm reading on the side. I was like, oh, shoot. Don't bring me my salad. But he was funny.
You are chicken and ranch. That
Yes.
tracks.
That's, but how would you know that? How would you, why?
Allison.
I'm not a pork and vinaigrette.
No.
You are a
You are a
Basic white girl.
sorority girl, chicken and ranch 100 to a T. That's you.
sorry.
Can I not be more?
No, you are. But if the options are one of
No,
them being
you
chicken
can't.
and ranch, you're picking chicken and ranch.
You're not going to get pork and vinaigrette. You are chicken and ranch.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to take it as a compliment somehow.
Yeah, take it as a compliment. Absolutely.
Let's just say I am who I am.
Yeah,
At least I'm transparent.
exactly.
We had onion rings that day, JP.
Yeah, we did.
Those were good.
But where did it get to that we're his mom?
Well, so I'm sorry. I had to have a moment for the food. It's food. It's Wednesday. It's food day. So then we have a conversation. We place the order. We do plates. JP, of course, gets, drum roll, please. What is JP always going to order? JP, what are you always going to order? What are my kids going to order? Mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Without question, it's
He
going to be
never
mac
eats
and
it.
cheese. I know.
I did. I ate
Mm.
the rest of it that night.
Oh.
Okay, good.
Well,
I actually am getting my appetite back big time lately.
Okay,
It's
good.
been
guys, could
Yeah.
we please go to Jim and Nick's for our next meeting? That was so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he delivers the order. We're having a general recap of the day. We're downloading what's just happened. We're glad Allison said, let's just sit down. Let's not go to Jersey Mike's, which is also a good option. And then we get to some point in the conversation. Waiter's been palm reader has been away for a while. And then Allison says,
Well, I mean, the whole thing's kind of, it's JP on one side of the table and then me and Amy Beth on the other side. And right as our server's coming from behind the really tall booth back,
palm reader Pat.
couldn't see him. He's coming around. And for whatever reason in the conversation, I said, you know, we could be your mom. And he turns the corner and goes and stands there and mouth open and says, literally starts backing up.
Says nothing.
what did I walk into?
Can I get y'all anything else? And we lost it. And then he really never came back.
No, he didn't, except to deliver the bill.
I made it worse because I knew how it looked right when he walked up, and I just stopped the conversation. I just turned and looked at him. It's like, will you excuse us, please?
I think
was
we were
very
probably telling JP that we're sorry that he has to hang out with like
We
old
were.
women every day. Like they could be his mom's age, or we are his mom's age. I mean,
That's
my child is
literally
your
what
age,
you said. Literally.
but it just was comical.
So sorry, palm reader Pat.
I think he was a Native American. Didn't he
So
look
do
kind
you
of
think he was like
He had a ponytail.
Pat who see palm reader Pat who sees the future?
Big Bear? Yes, and I think he can do things.
He probably has incense in the back,
Yeah.
and he had to go incense himself off after dealing with us.
Or maybe every basic white girl gets chicken and ranch.
Don't take it the wrong way. It's just you.
Allison,
Okay.
no, that's going to be your new nickname, Chicken and Ranch.
Maybe I'll go back to my natural hair color so it's not so obvious.
Ha-
We're gonna
have
do
you always
Chicken and
like
Ranch.
when was the last time you were your natural hair color?
It's been a minute. It's
Yeah,
since
it's
our
been a while.
children's were little
Like
in the hall at Briarwood.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not that much. I'm a little bit lighter than Abs. Like my hair is dark.
It's really dark.
I know God is sovereign, but I really should have been a blonde. This is a lot of upkeep.
I tried to be blonde once. It didn't go well. Thank God we lived in another state and I could be hideous by myself for an hour.
I was a
Oh.
blonde.
Were you a blonde?
Were you?
Mhm.
Really?
If I
Your
showed-
beard says
I wanna-
otherwise.
Yeah, your beard
Well,
says I
if-
was a strawberry blonde.
I was a strawberry blonde. Yeah. Which is funny. My hair color was my beard color, and it would turn red in the sun and it would be blonde. But my eyebrows, my whole life, have been black. I don't know
I
why.
wonder why.
It's so funny.
But if I showed you pictures of me as a kid, it was like blonde.
Do you qualify as a ginger?
No.
Oh, you're not going to take on that moniker.
I don't
If
know.
you're
'cause it's in my
ginger, you're
family.
basically black,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, my son-in-law is basically
Yeah.
black.
Don't you remember where the gingers and the black?
My future, I don't even know how to, I don't know how to my future daughter-in-law's mother already told Ben that he was invited to the family
The
cookout. Like he's been invited. He's a ginger and she sees unity in their purpose.
But do y'all not remember about a year ago there was a whole movement that the blacks and the gingers were one,
Oh yeah.
and then they kind of broke up.
I
Yeah.
actually don't.
Oh yeah. Kim
Yeah.
took that on.
We need to
Mhm.
look that up.
I'll listen, and to be invited into their family cookout, like
Big
I
deal.
haven't been invited yet. Like I thought we were friends, Kim. But maybe I'll go if you let me come.
Half
Are
of
they
you- half of
gingers
you's
or
invited.
black?
No, they're black. They're just beautiful people.
Does
And-
she know you're?
Oh yeah. Oh, they've been together for 4 years.
Okay.
But it's hilarious because this weekend we were having that conversation and Ben was like, I've been invited to the cookout because I'm a ginger and Kim and Ben have united. And I'm like, what am I, chopped liver? Let me come to the cookout.
Half of you's invited.
Wait a second. It's all coming back to me. That was the video that came out. They invited the gingers to their cookout,
Yeah.
but they only let the gingers bring like utensils. They couldn't actually cook and bring anything.
No, Emmy can make something and pass it off and Ben can pretend
I'm gonna
like
have
it's
to find
his.
this. It was funny.
But yeah, he got invited to the cookout. So if you were a little more gingery, you could get invited to the cookout.
I think you two should start
Gingers
your own
of
cool
the world
cookout.
unite.
The gingers, the lattes.
And thank you. Thank you. I like that even better than cappuccino. Thank you. Can we
yes.
high five on
Well,
that?
that's what I drink every day, so I like it too.
Okay, thanks.
Y'all, is this like the Seinfeld episode, the show about nothing?
The What the Hell County Wednesday.
Well, I think I've noticed a trend is the first segment is entertainment. The second segment is always info. So the first hour is a good combo of infotainment. You know,
That's why you're the producer right there.
it's got to flow.
It's Wednesday after all, everybody. We're celebrating that we've made it to the middle of the week. Also, could I ask a little bit of a question
Mm-hmm.
just as we jump off into our commercial break? I just need to know, since it's generalized mayhem, this is the only time I can ask this question. Did you guys see that in one of the states, one of the representatives named Jim Shaw? This is horrific, Allison. You need to. This is an
I'm
Allison
looking up.
story.
Gingers going to the cookout.
That in one of the states, they voted to agree that you could use human remains as a compost fertilizer. Have you seen this story?
Well,
Mm.
you know, California is using aborted fetuses to heat
Yes.
their
Yes.
hospitals, to incinerate
What?
and heat their hospitals.
Oh, yes, sir. And Pepsi used to use it as a drink sweetener in their pre-drink before they put it out in the public. This, however, is human remains being voted upon as compost / fertilizer. Fertilizer is what they called it.
That, yeah, we're in clown world.
Okay.
Can we,
All right, I'm going to send it to you for Friday.
Okay.
before we go there, I have a video. Newsweek, May of 2025. Redheads are now the black people of white people, according to TikTok. I have the TikTok. I have the TikTok that started it all. We will do that on the other side. We'll be right back.
Shaver with Allison Sinclair, and we are joined by a dear friend of ours. Her name is Heather Davis, and not only has she become a counselor, not only has she written a Bible study, but she's one of the wisest women I know, and she can tell you about herself. We have so many questions for her. We're not going to get to all of them, but the main point today is, how do we deal with a generation of kids that no matter what we do, we seem to be doing it wrong? How do we have hard conversations? How do we broach uncomfortable subjects and not lose our mind doing it? How do we do that? So, welcome.
Hi, thank y'all for having me.
We're so glad you're here.
I'm a little overwhelmed by the honor and the love. So thank you.
Wow, I'm overwhelmed by the fun. Like I've heard about Heather for years, and she walked in, and I was like, "Oh, she's one of us.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome."
Yes.
I think y'all are in for a treat because I'm pretty sure it will all be said, like not holding back. So, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So, first, real quick, what's your background and did you ever see yourself doing what you're doing today?
No and yes. My background is I graduated from the University of Alabama at Birmingham in '93. Thought that I was going to be the next physical therapist, but apparently statistics are very important in that role. And so I never got an opportunity. Had worked at ASMI with Lee Mack, Andrews, and Rogers, the gods of orthopedics, and realized that the gods of orthopedics bow down to the God of the universe because he had a plan. He brought me here under the guise of my personal wants and wish list, and he saved me, transformed me, and called me into ministry before I was 25 years old. So it was what I like to call a butt kicking in reality and practical theology. So 25 to almost 40-ish, I was on different church staffs here in Birmingham, always around connection, community, small groups. It had this just innate from the time I was a little girl ability to hear through the lens of the gospel and love people. And so was counseling before I was ever really into that. Had a horrific marriage, started doing a lot of therapy just to kind of get through what life throws at you. Addictions that, back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, we didn't say the word porn out loud. We didn't say affairs out loud. We didn't say sexual addiction out loud. These type of things were what I was dealing with. And on church staff, that's pretty taboo. So I had been on a staff where they were like, you need to step back and get your house in order. And that really kind of undid me. And the long and short of it is I did a deconstruction of my theology to find out, well, if it's my husband who's sinning and he's the head of the home, how do I get my house in order? And so it really just kind of took the legalism that I had been brought up with. My parents are very good people, very moral. And then I, became Baptist in Birmingham, Alabama. And so I just traded one for the other. And so he really just started to show me what a practical theology was and how do you live out what you honestly believe. So long and short of it, I ended up doing master's program and getting counseling certifications. And now I'm a gospel coach. So my last accreditation is board certified master mental health coach. And I specialize in life recovery, addictions, and neuroscience. I work through the lens of NARM, which is a neuroaffectual relationship model, which basically means the psycho, biological, neurological way that our bodies and brains process. And so it's really kind of cool because that just flows right into theology. Forever, God's been telling us if we renew our mind, we can be transformed. And that's exactly what I get to do with people. So I love it. I know that's pretty heady, but
No, I'm so curious because a lot of people will say psychology, psychiatry is antithetical to the gospel, to theology, to God. But it sounds like you fuse the two. Like God created us, God gave us these mental capacities, He wired us. How do you put science and God together? Because most people want to separate them.
Right. So for me, as a Baptist even, it was very difficult for me to understand the difference between spirit, soul, and my flesh. Okay. And so it took me a long time to get.
JP, is that breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law?
I don't.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. So the copyright free, some of them are mimicking real songs. I think that one's mimicking breaking the law.
I really like that song. Accurately depicts the state of man.
That's right.
Okay. All right. See, Allison's helping me figure something out. This whole morning has been figuring things out, but she found the video.
Yeah, we'll do that. I promise.
Okay. So I'm not, it's just somehow
No,
squirrely.
I had trouble. It's like with Grayson was here, spent so much time with us, and I couldn't bear to be like, I don't know how to work the Slacks. Can you help me?
I talked to somebody else after that, and they were like, "Oh, I was in a long meeting with boomers," and I was like, "Hello,
Yes,
do
sometimes
you
it'd be
know
like
who
that.
you're talking to?" Okay, JP,
Yeah.
hi. Do you want to play Allison's video?
Apparently, yeah, gingers are black people.
Duh.
She's very
To remind y'all again, everyone who is ginger, who has red hair, those are black people. All gingers are black people. If they have red hair, they are black. You see a white man with red hair, that's a black man. You see a white woman with red hair, that's a black woman. Gingers are black. All gingers.
It's a thing.
But what's the premise? Why is she saying that?
So they're saying that because as some not all, some Black Americans experienced discrimination or maybe have been mistreated along the way, and who hasn't? But a new avenue of communication and friendship opened up when apparently, I don't even know how long ago, our Black friends decided that red-headed Americans, red-headed humans are also Black because they know what it feels like. And apparently from some of the stories my son-in-law has told me, maybe that's true. So that's why he's been invited to my future daughter-in-law's family cookout.
I mean,
So this is
Yeah.
exciting. Like I've not been invited, but he got invited because unite,
Well,
apparently.
this Newsweek article goes on to give more historical context. It says abolitionist Frederick Douglass often delivered speeches to crowds of Black and Irish Americans about discrimination, and he even spent time in Dublin
Did he
in
really?
1845. Yep.
Dublin.
Dublin,
That's how they say
Ireland.
it. It's weird.
Let's
Dublin.
go. Let's go on a trip to Dublin.
I want
well-
to go to Ireland. It's where my family's from.
You may have a castle.
Half of my family.
We need to find it. I think maybe Chris has some people from Dublin. You definitely have people from Dublin, Ireland. And so I
That
think we
was
should
good.
go.
Is that a new voice?
Dublin.
I'm going to end
William
up sounding
Wallace.
Indian.
Dublin. Aye, let's go.
Gosh, you know what's super fun is they all go to church. So like we went over there, you go to church, and then as soon as you leave church, you go to the pub.
Yep. Can you get drunk?
Listen.
Well, I don't know about getting drunk, but everybody from church
Get
goes to the
crunk.
pub and they sit at the bar and they drink their
Aye, and you want a pint
Smittix.
with haddocks? Haddock
They do have
and bangers and mash?
I don't know how Black people would feel about the ginger food, the Irish food, because Irish food is terrible.
Well, but if it gets close to having like a meat and three,
Well, that's okay. Yeah, I can see that.
we'll have to discuss it. I'll let you know as the summer unfolds.
I hope you get invited.
I don't think I'm going to get invited, but I do love my future daughter-in-law and I love her family. And her mom and I get along really well. So I'll keep you guys posted. I don't know how this is all going to go down, but apparently she and Ben are already best friends.
Ben can let us know.
Must be nice. But Ben, let's just say for my precious son-in-law, he makes friends with everybody. Never met a stranger. I used to be that way. And then I hit menopause.
Ben can bring the paper plates.
He can. And forks. And maybe a case of water.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Anywho,
JP wants to do news. News.
Nah,
schmooze,
let's
go.
News.
we're done. We're
schmooze.
done. We're done. She was in the woods this morning, JP.
She was.
All right. There is a lot of news today, and we have a great story list for you. Thank you for indulging our merriment for a moment, because I don't know if you feel the same way, but talking about the news all day, every day can get heavy. It can make you cynical. And that's why I'm more convinced than ever that God has a glorious sense of humor. And thank you for indulging us. But now, JP, take it away.
For news. Alert 42 minutes past the hour. This just in. Orders have been given for the 82nd Airborne to deploy. As of now, the commander and his headquarters element, his staff, will leave soon for the Middle East to begin assessing what will be needed once the target is set. So that is the update we have for you right now.
And some airlines out there are getting fed up with Congress. Delta announced today they're going to end all special priority perks for lawmakers as long as this DHS shutdown is ongoing and TSA workers aren't being paid. Until it gets fixed, Brett, Congress is going to be treated like the rest of us.
Oh, they're right there. All right, they're good to here to help. They're not bothering nobody. As long as they can check my bags and get me on my flight, I'm good to go. Right? I want to get to the Bahamas. I want out of here.
Well, we had, as you know, many conversations with the parliamentarian during the budget reconciliation bill that passed last summer. The parliamentarian has a role to play in that process, and in the past we have respected it, and I would expect we would do that.
Okay, just an update. The Save America Act cannot pass through budget reconciliation. Thune and leadership in the Senate GOP are doing this because they think you're stupid. They are literally trying to get the American people to get off their back. So what did they say? They said they're going to do it in budget reconciliation. What does that mean? That means that this is a head fake. It can't be done. The parliamentarian will strip this out. So if you want the Save America Act passed, it has to be attached to FISA. I don't care what anyone else is saying right now. I promise you, they are literally lying to the American people. It will not get done if it's done in reconciliation.
Do y'all understand that? What they're trying to do?
Yes. Yeah, essentially.
So do you want to explain it?
I'm talking about what Thune and them are claiming to try and do,
Yes.
attach it to a budget reconciliation,
Yeah.
which we do every year now, it seems, because we can't pass a clean budget. But budget reconciliation is pretty much you jam everything into one bill, and it doesn't need the 60-vote filibuster. You can just get through with a simple majority. So that is what they're claiming to do. I'm not quite sure totally why they can't. I just know that they can't do that. But it's clear that that's what they're trying to sell. And so when I think they know it's not going to work. So when it doesn't work, they can say, well, we tried and then move on. But if you know exactly why they can't do it in reconciliation.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that because I've heard several. Actually, Jarek Wilkins, who's a friend of ours, wrote an article about this that was in Real Clear Politics, and several national outlets picked it up. If you attach a dollar amount to any sort of legislation, it's then looked at as a budget bill, which can pass with a simple majority. So they're looking at going back and attaching a dollar amount for funding for something to it. Okay. And there are some people in the House I'm hearing that think this is a great idea and it's exactly how it should be done. Then you have the Senate that's saying this is how it should be done. This is a great idea. But then you have Paulina Luna coming out and saying it can't be done. It has to be blah, blah, blah. But I have not heard why it can't be done. I don't know if it's because the bill is already there. I don't know if it's because they have to send it back to the House first. If it has to originate in the House, because all budget matters funding has to come from the House. I don't know.
I think that's it, because then it would be essentially a completely different bill. It'd have to go through committees again. It'd have to be, yeah.
So this is just the Senate. What is it, Abs? You always say, hurry up, look busy.
Hurry up, look busy.
Like this is our way of doing something, but we know it's not going to work.
Get busy doing nothing.
It is. And it goes back to, I think, what Anna Paulina said. I was looking to see if there was anything else about the budget reconciliation situation. But they think we are so dumb. And why in the world? This is one of those things. Yesterday or the day before, we talked to Prince Chestnut about the female genital mutilation bill. Everybody agrees we should make that a felony. Everybody. That's for Alabama. When it comes to the Senate, you poll all Americans, 84% of America is for what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now John Thune, who is weak, says, well, wait, this is how we have to do it. And he's lying. Liar, liar, pants on fire. but also he really thinks that we're stupid and we don't know. And so here, though, I have to say thanks to Paulina Luna for letting us know everything that's been going on. Like, she has been at the forefront, bringing us information so that we can see, like she said on a post from earlier today, that the system is corrupt. It is broken down. But we need people like her to tell us what's happening, but also to expose the folly of people like Jonathan and the arrogance with this head fake. Totally arrogant. They're so out of touch.
So what happens if this doesn't happen?
Well, Republicans will probably get destroyed in the midterms. You know, which, I mean, to be honest, may happen either way, but at the very least, this would keep our elections secure in the midterms. And if we haven't deported nearly as many people that we would like, then the midterms are not going to be secure elections regardless. So, but then you look at the other things they're, attaching to it of, the no mutilating of kids, and all the other things they're trying to attach to this bill. So it is very important before Republicans lose the majority in the Senate or in the House or both or all of Congress to get something like this done. If it doesn't happen before the midterms, it's not going to happen at all.
So, okay. So we want this. Let's see what happens. Let's not forget it. I mean, this is the one thing we're all saying we want. We all can agree. Everybody agrees. All right.
By the way, that one clip, it didn't say in the clip of what the guy from New Jersey was saying. He was talking about the ICE being at the airport where he was like,
I just want to get to the Bahamas.
If they can get me to the Bahamas quicker, that's fine with me.
You want I should get to the Bahamas?
Yeah. I want to get out of here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's cold up here.
Yeah.
I want to get out. Which, by the way, speaking of airports, although did you Google?
I'm still stuck on why she said it had to be attached to FISA, but I can't really. What the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act? Why isn't that what she said? That the reconciliation.
Yeah.
Does anybody have her number? Can we just give her a call?
I bet she'd answer.
I've met her before. She is cute as a button.
I really like her a lot. I truly didn't know. A jury was out when she was first in office. And I know she's not related to our state at all. But you know what? She's smart. She's keeping information out there. And she's braver than 2/3 of the men up there.
Ooh.
Sorry.
I'm going to do some research.
Why does,
So I want to keep going.
The SAVE Act, not the Dave Act.
Or the Dave Act. I mean, if you want it to be Dave. I'm seeing if there's anything out. Oh, wow. All right. So as we're looking these things up, because it's all related, it's the Delta suspending VIP service, which I say bravo, because these are the same people that have great parking spots. They never have to wait for anybody. They get their own gym. They get their own health insurance policy. Anything we vote for health related, they still get their own thing from, I think it's Blue Cross. They have a Cadillac policy. So nothing they do aimed in our direction actually ever affects them. So the idea that Delta would say, sorry, you don't get a VIP line until you do what's right. I might fly Delta forever.
Yeah, I'm generally not a fan of Delta. If you get on their planes, do you remember I posted about it. As you're walking into their plane on the right side, there are what feels like 1 million DEI stickers. And as you're getting on, it's like,
oh yes,
all female crew. And you're like, oh, I'd like to do a Yui. Please don't make me get on this plane. But good for them. I guess this is why we see Nancy Mace just racing past the 4-hour line, because they're special. On one hand, I kind of get it. I mean, there are a lot of crazy people out there, but again, take them in the back door. Don't flaunt it and walk them right down the long line.
Do you
parade
think
them
George
around?
Washington would have accepted a fast pass in the airline line?
Probably not. But there weren't Well, I guess people were probably just as crazy.
They're just as crazy. They were just as corrupt. Chris is reading about, I can't remember who, John Adams. I don't know. No, it's later than that. But he said, we've been corrupt since forever. We just have different manners and methods of performing corruption. So I just wonder if our founding fathers, let's just take people from, would Abe Lincoln have taken a fast pass? No. Why did they get to take a fast pass? They're of the people. You go get in line with the people and see what it's like to suffer. Maybe then you'll start thinking about us when you invent all these new rules and laws and resolutions you'd like to pass. And oh, by the way, forget, passing an actual budget for us.
Especially if you're the reason people are standing in line for 4 hours with screaming children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You should have to stand
I hope
there as well.
all of you stand next to the family with the 12 children and half of them are crying.
That will be your punishment.
That's your punishment.
By the way, I've done a little bit of research on why this. So essentially, the Save America Act does not comply with the bird rule.
What
the BYRD
BYRD bird rule.
What
which
the hell county is the bird rule?
This bars senators from including provisions in reconciliation bills that are extraneous to the reconciliation instructions in the budget resolution. They said they adopted this in the 1980s to prevent lawmakers from using the reconciliation process to bypass the filibuster and enact non-budgetary policy. So it says, this is from legislativeprocedure.com, by the way. It says the bird's rule prohibition on provisions with no budgetary effect or whose budgetary effect is merely incidental to their policy purpose appears to be the biggest hurdle to advancing the Save America Act via the reconciliation process.
Well, what if it goes back to, would the House have to repass it with a budget?
Yeah, and how can you attach a budgetary effect to making elections secure?
Well, you could. Mm-hmm. You could with whether it's security or maybe that's what she's talking about, foreign intelligence, FISA, something, a monetary sum to counteract foreign influence. I don't know. You could get creative, but then you have to start the whole process over.
Right. And it's not going to happen before, you're essentially bringing up a whole new bill.
Mm. And so the Senate can't vote on anything else until this is we're stuck, right?
I mean, they can vote for nominees like Mark Wayne Mullen getting confirmed and stuff like that. But in terms of actual legislation, this is sucking the wind out of the Senate. And which is why they're trying to, Tuberville's trying to add amendments to it of protecting women in sports, because everybody's trying to add their piece to the SAVE Act to try and get a bunch of stuff done with one, but it's
not
such
a
happen. Circus. If you want a clear example as how Republicans snatch defeat from the jaws of victory every single time, this is it right here.
Could we get that on a t-shirt?
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I feel like this needs to be a reel. We'll start there and then get a t-shirt because I think people just be reminded again of the games they're playing. They know the Bird Act.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a funny name.
Or the bird rule.
The bird rule, that true racist from West Virginia, right? Was he from West Virginia? John Bird?
I don't know.
John Bird.
Well,
isn't there somebody here in Alabama?
No, that's Bird. Right. Something Bird. BYRD Bird. He was a little fella. He lived forever.
It's named after Robert Byrd.
Robert.
Of West Virginia.
Byrd of West Virginia.
What a bird.
I can hear Rush in my brain. Robert Byrd.
But it's find a way, the Democrats are so creative. Nancy Pelosi's the one that made the reconciliation. That's how she got, was it the Obamacare, I believe? Shoved through was reconciliation. She found a creative way to end. Republicans play within the guardrails, and we have to do this. But also, they know that, like you said, they know that's going to fail. But if they try something that failed, at least they can say, "We tried." Mm-hmm. It's those freaking Democrats; they suck. Well,
why didn't the House start with this? Why wouldn't you put this in? I mean, shouldn't you think a few steps down the road?
Well, then you go, well, maybe Mike Johnson and others in the House, if they're establishment Republicans and don't really want the SAVE Act passed either, they can say, well, we've done our job. We're clear.
Yeah, you're
Senate's
right.
not doing their job.
You're right.
It's all.
It's kind of like what's happening in Montgomery.
It's a
And I
game.
want to ask Sam Gavan about this because, you know, the House just passed the closed primary bill. Woohoo! And now everybody's saying it's going to die in the Senate, but we tried.
Mm-hmm.
And the Senate's going to say, we just ran out of time. And, you know, we didn't have enough time to debate it. We didn't have enough time to research it. They don't do any research.
Listen,
That's maybe not true.
They do some
have y'all
research.
seen those T-shirts? I've seen coaches wearing these T-shirts saying, "No one cares when it comes to, but we need more time. We're going to get to it next time. We want to research." Like we say this with all the love in our heart when it comes to certain bills like the closed primary, and we really want it to get to the Senate, and we really want it to get passed this time. No one cares about the excuses.
Yep.
Try harder and just get it done. Please. Like, with respect,
Well,
please get it done.
I mentioned this before. And what's even more frustrating is if they pass it right now, it's not even going into effect until 2030 because of however you vote in the 28 election, that's the party you get registered in. And then it starts in 2030. So imagine if they kick the can down the road, we could not have closed primaries until like 2038. And that's if they ever pass it.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they passed it this session, it's not even going to be a thing for another 4 years.
And it's, again, back to the bill we had Prince Chestnut on to talk about. This is the same thing. We agree on this. We agree. We want this. But my daughter let me know about how long it would be before, my oldest, how long it would be before it actually took effect. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed I didn't know.
It's too late to do it now. I mean, that's just the way it would have to be. But yeah,
But here's my thing.
we'll see.
Like, if they're not going to do it now, are they ever going to do it? Because if our reasoning for why we think it's not going to happen now is that this was a big for show thing in the House, maybe to get some heat off of some Republicans in the House. Okay, well, it passes the House, and then that job's done for the people that wanted to help get it pushed through. If they didn't really want to get closed primaries in the first place, their job's accomplished. They got the heat off their back. We passed it out of the House. Okay, well, now I'm good. Now we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
So next session, are they even going to bring it up again? What's the point?
And we've great senators. Like, they really could do this. They're
Yeah.
good guys. They really are. They could.
There's part of me that I get it. It is such a huge change, and it kind of came out, even though we've been talking about it for years. And, you know, surely you lie awake at night and you think about the pros and cons of closed primaries if you're a good legislator. That's a joke. But, you know, like it's this kind of isn't out of nowhere. We've been flirting with the idea for years, but it did kind of come on quickly. And I get that. But in terms of like your constituents, overwhelmingly supportive of this. So maybe sometimes you just need to do it.
Or, you know, as comparison with the Public Service Commission bill that almost sailed through until people were like,
Yeah.
I don't want it. Just, there are a few things we ask for. This is one of them.
Well, Senator Sam Gavan will be with us when we come back. And if you know anything, he's one of my favorites. He's like really monotone, but he's pretty funny. And he just doesn't care. He'll tell you
Cannot
straight
wait.
up. So we'll get some good answers with Senator Gavan. We'll be right back.
Y'all have heard us talk about Inspire Advisors, how Paul Breyer and his team at Inspire Advisors will help you grow your investment portfolio while also screening out companies that don't stand for conservative Christian principles.
Paul and his team are experts on what they call biblically responsible investing. And for a limited time, they're hosting a free class that you can register for.
Check out the class and register for free at moneypatternwealth.com. It's godly, it's conservative, and it's financial freedom.
Again, go to Inspire Advisors at moneypatternwealth.com. Check them out and tell them you heard about them at Rightside Radio.
Understanding that, you know, my flesh is the part that has its own proclivities. It has its own predisposition towards typical types of sin. That's my flesh. That's the part of me that makes me human. Then there's the spirit, which is, I was made in the image of God. I'm an image bearer. We're all image bearers, and it's unique in each one of us. That's why we're all so valuable to the kingdom. And then there's this soul. This is the part was so elusive for me. It was just kind of like a mirage. Like, how do I grasp it? And the best way I've figured out how to hold on to it is it's a 3-part. It's your mind, your will, and your emotions. And so your mind definitely includes your brain, but it's more than just your brain. You've got your subconscious and your conscious. So the things that I say are biblical truths. The things I believe about myself, that mental tape, that's the subconscious. That's your mind. That's the part that's got to be transformed. Then you've got your will, which is, your disciplines and the things that each of us have or do not have. I kind of lack will when it comes to bread, Diet Coke, French fries, ice cream. I mean, there's a list, but my will is very low on those. And then there's your emotions. Well, your emotional state is definitely important, but I was not taught that way. I was brought up in a military, medical, Italian family. Emotions were not things we talked about. You were sent from the table till you could get it in order and come back, dry your face up. So the emotions, that's part of it. Well, what we've got right now is a generation that's led by their emotions. Then you've got, our generation, Gen X, which is totally led by will.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will do what we're going to do because we know. And so those two generations are really clashing. And then you've got the generation that's the mind, and these are facts, and that would be your baby boomers. And so that's where these generations are really struggling, is the way we see soul is so different that we're having trouble determining how do we even communicate about it, and even more so, how do we love these kids and give them the safety and security that they need, because we're the adults and we've been there. And we know what it was like to be raised by people who didn't value emotion and they didn't value will. They only valued trust or truth and achievement. And so we're in that precipice where they all meet, and it's kind of like the rubber meets the road, and we're dealing with it because these kids are not believing what we believe.
Not at all. And is that why? That's just so interesting, that clash of civilization, really. But is that why you mentioned a minute ago, the kids today seem to be so led by their emotion? It doesn't matter what logic you present. It doesn't matter. I mean, even going so far, and you and I have talked about this, where some people will say, well, what is truth? As if it's this nuanced thing that we can create rather than a concrete, no, truth is. Right. We rotate around the truth.
My truth,
and
your truth.
Yeah. Can you talk to us about that? I mean, why?
We talk about the postmodern world, like that's where we're at postmodern. And so relativism is incredibly real. I just had a conversation with my oldest child who's 26 and in law school. And she asked me specifically, are you okay with the unkind treatment to people who are not citizens of our country? And I was like, help me understand what unkind is. And she goes, Mama, you got your therapy hat on. And I was like, well, I need to understand your terms, because that's where we're at. Her version of unkind is an experiential unkind. For me, clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. Kindness means I would extend something to you that you have not earned. It's a gift. Kindness is a gift. And she was like, well, I don't think kindness is that way. It's an attribute. And I was like, okay, that's where we're at. We have to define terms with this generation, because theirs is an experiential, emotional thing. Kindness is a character trait. Well, you can't give what you don't have. And so for her, she really struggles, and she's typical. She's a millennial. She is very typical of, if you're not kind and you don't do it the right way, you're wrong. I'm like, where's the grace in that? But they don't have grace because they don't understand it.
Is this across the board? Like, I don't know if there's a little chat group of all the NARM therapists out there. But I'm curious if it's more pervasive in the South, just the Southern culture. No, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. NARM, the model that I use, is worldwide, and it's kind of ironic, but when we do our Zooms, when you do your trainings, you're on Zooms, there'll be people from all over the world. And they'll say, Heather, and then it'll say he, she, it, whatever your pronouns are. And we'll have people from, one was from China, one was from Scotland, my favorite accent. And she was saying, what is this she, her thing? She was like, and we had to explain, in America, you have to say your pronouns. And the woman was like, what? You are who you are. But in America, it's up for debate. But in other countries, that's not even an issue. They don't deal with it. And so we're kind of in that place where we're making up.
Welcome back to The Right Side. I am Amy Beth Shaver with Allison Sinclair and JP. In a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Senator Sam Gavin, which is a very elegant name, by the way.
Sam Gavin.
And we're going to talk about the closed primary and other things in an interview. Then after that, we have today, because it's Wednesday, hot flash news. And then we have even more stories to talk about because there's a little brouhaha happening in Alabama in the lieutenant governor race. And we're going to get to that as well.
Oh, gosh.
So there's a lot still to do, even though it's only 11. You'll get through all of it. No, there is a lot to talk about. So
do you think Sam Gavin gets Wandalin Gavin's calls?
I bet
constituents.
So. I bet
that would be wild.
Wouldn't that be funny?
I bet they both get each other's calls, and it makes for some good content.
I think it probably makes for hilarious content. I mean, not different than, we have a similar address to somebody in our neighborhood and we get each other's mail. So It could be fun. We should ask.
That would be funny.
That would be great. Okay. All right. Mr. JP, are we ready? Sweet.
We are ready.
We don't know how you do it all. Y'all, we are happy to be joined by Senator Sam Gavin. Sir, how are you today?
I'm well. We got lots of real estate transactions happening in Huntsville, and they've got me hopping.
It's spring break. You're supposed to. Well, I guess.
Yeah, my spring break is taking a break from the legislature and working on my day job.
We forget sometimes that y'all have those. Honestly.
Tell us about your day job, though, because has the market picked up? Is it booming? Because Huntsville is the place to be, obviously.
Yeah, it started, I would say, in September and has not slowed down.
Really?
At least here in the commercial world. I don't do residential. I do commercial work, and just with all the different, plants that are coming in, and then there's, development that comes in outside of that. I mean, for whether it's, right now I'm working on several warehouses and developments that, because with all these, companies, you have to, store parts and things of that nature, and, keep up with inventory and whatnot. So there's a lot of activity going on. The apartments have kind of slowed down, but they're not total. I mean, I'm working on a $63 million apartment complex right now too. So there's lots of stuff happening.
Word.
Wow. That's impressive.
That new development over by the Trash Pandas Stadium. Holy cow. That's impressive. Those apartments and those buildings are amazing. And I bet that part is Madison County, I know, will be booming for a while.
Hope so. Hope we've so far been recession resistant for sure. But it used to be that my real estate mentor told me that we were usually 2 to 3 years behind the rest of the country going into recession, and then 2 to 3 years late coming out of it, because we've got so many businesses here that have government contracts. But lately, because we've been on, now we have budgets, but for so long we had, exception for Homeland Defense, but in any event, we've been on so many continuing resolutions that a lot of these companies have not been able to really take off and do the longer term projects that they've been really wanting to do, because they just didn't have the comfort zone in there. But now you're starting to see that those contracts coming in now that we actually have a defense budget.
Oh, that's encouraging.
Well, congratulations on that one. The beach is one thing, but I guess making a little bit of extra money on spring break is maybe even better.
Yes. Okay.
Grandbabies need new shoes.
Oh, how many grandkids do you have?
5, number 6 is on the way.
Oh, that's fabulous. Girls, boys?
So by the time we get the new one, it'll be 4 boys and 2 girls. And we just had because a year ago we had 3 grandchildren born in 30 days. So we just had a joint 1-year-old birthday party for all 3 of them.
Word.
Fantastic.
That's
They are the joy of life, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we still love our kids, but
I was
I
going
know.
to say, are they better than kids? That's what I hear.
They're
send them home.
great, aren't they? I mean, it's like you love your kids, but when your little grandkids go, honey, you're like, what do you want? You can have whatever you want.
What do they call you?
Big Daddy.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's great. Okay, well, on to less important things, because grandchildren are the best. We are hearing that the closed primary bill isn't going to pass out of the Senate. What can you tell us, and what concerns have you heard about from the Senate regarding that bill?
Sure. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be a tremendous appetite for it, but this bill wasn't filed until I think the 22nd legislative day, and it's just passed the House, I believe, Thursday. So I imagine that's going to be a conversation that we have when we come back, talking about that. Some of the just anecdotally, some of what I'm getting is, number one, is probably why now? It's not going to affect this primary at all. We've got a bunch of primary drama, both in the House and the Senate, and then there's some people just flat out, and they're I'm not going to reveal who they are, but that are ardent Republicans, and there's no question about their GOP credentials, but they just don't like it. And so I think, and one thing I just get, again, anecdotally, is the concern about the independents. That look, there are a lot of people that say they want to say they're independent for whatever reason. They're just it's a sense of pride, maybe, but that's not how they vote. I mean, you look at their voting patterns, and they tend to vote, at least in our community, vote Republican. But we've got to remember the counter of this is true in the Black Belt. And it's just interesting to me when I'm at state party meetings. I've been on the state executive committee meeting or party in one form or another since Bill Armistead put me on back in 2011. And they do not have an appreciation or understanding what happens in the Black Belt, which is where I'm from. And I know from a population standpoint, that's a small section of the state, but there's people from all over the state that own property down there. And I still own property down there, and my family does. And a lot of people down there are Republicans who vote in the Democrat primary. And it's just a life down there because there are no Republicans running. And up here, you see so many times, I say up here in North Alabama and different parts of the state, there's not a viable, they're not viable Democratic candidates. So therefore, you see a lot of Democrats that are voting in our primary. I mean, I know for a fact that happened. I don't think it's happening in the numbers that some people suspect. But one of the things that we've talked about is how do we, how would something like this be? Years ago, I don't know if y'all knew the late great Elbert Peters, who certainly we had a Republican Hall of Fame. He would be in it. He and I talked about something a couple of years ago. He was encouraging me to introduce a bill that would require party registration, but allow independents to basically be free agents, if you will, not be able to cross over. We have a law against crossing over. You can't vote in one party's primary and then vote in the other party's runoff. That's where all this started back in '86 with the Republicans, bragging about going and electing Charlie Graddick, and the Democrats, had a come apart about it. And then the state of Alabama just had a meltdown about Graddick being removed from the ticket, and went the other way. I think that eventually would have come statewide. I mean, Alabama's voted, I think, from Nixon on, with the exception of '76, when Carter, who was from nearby Georgia or adjacent Georgia, was elected. Alabama's voted Republican every year since then. So, I mean, it was coming. It was a question of when, but we all know, the legislature didn't take, the Republicans didn't take control of the legislature until 2010. Mm-hmm. And that was a sort of a surprise. And but it was a well planned out thing by, a lot of people that are, most of them are gone on from the legislature, but there's some that are still there that worked very diligently coming up with a plan to take over the House and take over the Senate, which worked. And then after redistricting became even stronger. So we're a solidly red state now. We have, but for the gerrymandered, court gerrymandered congressional map, we'd have 6 of 7 congressmen would be Republicans, but now we have 5. We'll see how that goes with the Supreme Court. But anyways, state's solidly red, but I don't know if you had a true poll, I don't know that you're going to have a majority of the people saying, yeah, we're Republican. Again, that's how people are voting. Basically we're getting about 60%, I think, or close to it in statewide races. And so the Democrats really just can't draw blood there, but haven't been able to. Now, then the whole Doug Jones thing, that was just an anomaly on so many different proportions, and it had more to do, in my opinion, with Republicans either, for the most part, just staying home. And I think it's just because I talked to a lot of people that were Republicans, and they're like, I just can't vote for Roy Moore, and I'm not going to vote Democrat, but I'm just not going to vote. And I think that was what happened in that one anomaly, and that's the only one we've had, I think, since 2010, certainly 2014. I know Sue Bell Cobb stayed on for a little while longer, and I'm not sure when she got out.
So personally, are you happy with our election system now, or would you support? My understanding is you support closing the primaries. Has that changed as you've kind of talked back and forth with your peers in the Senate? And if you are supporting it, why do you feel like it would be beneficial? And is it needed?
Well, you got to remember, I'm a party guy, so I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do what's best for my district. Okay, at the end of the day, that's what we're supposed to do, is represent our district.
Right.
But I've been senior vice chair of the state party, and I've been county party chair for over 2 terms. Elected 3 different times to fill a term, and then twice unopposed to continue on. And so, this has been a conversation that the party people have been having for a while, but we've got to remember that, there's only like somewhere between 400 and 500, I don't remember the number, of state executive committee members, some of whom are elected, some of whom are not. And about 84%, I can't remember the exact number. I mean, I was at the meeting, either 84% or 86% of the people of that committee voted in favor of closed primaries. Now, of course, what does a closed primary look like? I mean, there's different shades of that. And that's part of the issue that we've got is, again, it's like, here's a bill. We got 8 days left in the legislative session. Here's a bill, and we're going to do party registration. And a lot of senators are like, whoa, what? What are the details here? And so I think that there are a lot of things that are positive about it. Just look, personally, from my perspective, it's hard. I mean, I'll give credit to Senator Roberts. I'm not going to give it to anybody else. Senator Roberts has probably consistently been to the right of me over 8 years, but over the 8 years I've been on Alabama Policy Institute's, certainly top 3 most conservative senators, and I think that, my opinion is kind of getting into the weeds. Is a closed primary helps me, and this is, I'm just talking about Sam Gavan, because how are you going to get to the right of me? Okay, and then my concern has always been, okay, what if the gambling industry or something, some more left-leaning group comes in and floods the primary, attacking me from the left? Well, if there's enough money there, there's a possibility, but I don't think you're going to beat me in a primary with gambling money. So that's just Sam's selfish, reason for liking closed primaries. But I don't think that. I'm not sure that would make that big of a difference statewide in terms of the legislative makeup. We had closed primaries or open primaries. I know there was some expression of concern over that on that leaked audio tape.
Mhm.
But I just don't know that really translates. And when you look at how many, my consultant has done a little breakdown about how many people that really, are quote independent and that go back and forth between the primaries, and it's a small number.
Like,
Now,
when
again,
you say small, are you talking like 1%, 5%?
I think less than 5%.
Okay.
And so, a lot of the just anecdotal objection I'm getting. I mean, some of it is from people I know to be Democrats. Okay, when I'm on some of the emails, but there are a number of I think true independents, and I just don't think. And I've been corresponding with Dr. Chess Brown, who's a political science professor, and he's questioned in our correspondence the constitutionality of it.
Mm.
And I have talked about that with our legal counsel, and I mean, or certainly he thinks that we're on good ground, but it certainly could be challenged. I mean, anything can be challenged, right? I mean, right now we got a suit against. I just briefly read over it, the suit challenging Tommy Tuberville's residency against the GOP, and jeepers creepers, I can't believe that's filed. That's some of the weakest sauce I've ever seen.
I need to read through that. I saw Kim McPheeters had a press conference about it yesterday. Do you think that's going anywhere? I mean,
I think it'll be thrown out on motion to dismiss.
Okay. Real quickly, I know Amy Beth has some other questions, but you mentioned this. You mentioned redistricting. What are you hearing or thinking about maybe a decision that is coming out of the Supreme Court? I hear it might be soon. I hear it might be before the primary on the Louisiana case, which if it's broadly interpreted, it may apply to Alabama. Are y'all ready to draw some more maps? Is there any talk about that?
So we do have a bill, and I actually was talking with another senator about it this morning, that we may need to go ahead and start moving it. We have been hearing, we're about to make an order, they're about to do this and that for ages, and it's just, look, it's like speculating about whether Auburn or Alabama's going to win the toss for the kickoff.
It's probably not Auburn.
Yeah, seriously. I think
where we are right now.
And then. So it's, we're guessing at when they're going to do things. It'll be by June 30th. We do have a bill that has not passed that we could do that would allow us to have new primaries only in the contested areas. So it'd be tricky, but we're running, the clock's running short on us on doing something from that nature.
So this is just a question about perhaps process. And I'm going to do it 2 questions in one. One is, because it relates to this, what else do you see passing out of the Senate this session? And as a tag on to that, why does it take so long to get things passed? Because that's what people wonder as they see y'all, they appreciate you, but they wonder, why in the world does it take, 5 years, 7 years, if there are things that people really want to get accomplished? Why does it take so long?
Well, it depends a lot of times on whose ox is getting gored. Now, I've said a lot of these things are about M&M, money or morals, sometimes both. And the details, some of these things, sometimes I'm just amazed. I'm like, we passed that. Are you kidding me? But nobody was, focusing on it. And there's only so much, bandwidth we've got to focus on stuff. I mean, I'm known as sort of the nerd that gets in and tries to, study these bills, but I ain't got time to focus on all of them. A lot of times it's by like, who's the sponsor? If Right now I'm, normally if Arthur Orr's the sponsor, I'm not going to get involved. I'm like, okay, Arthur's got this, I'm good to go. But, he's got a couple of bills right now that are in the real estate arena. Well, that's my, bailiwick. So I care what's in those bills. It affects my, what I do for a living. So, sometimes that's what it's about. Sometimes there's a big mule that's got a lot of influence that are trying to slow things down. Sometimes it's there's just one senator that's got a constituent that hates something or loves something, and they're not necessarily a senator. It could be a House member, but senators individually, just because of the rules, have more influence because we can gum things up more easily, and certainly the Democrats can. Now, there's been talk about, we need to go change the rules. And I think there will be some rule changes coming, but not, I don't think major ones, because at the end of the day, we can cloture. Now, I remember something that Greg Reed told us a while back. He said, I'm not going to tell you how to vote. He said, but I'm going to tell you the consequences of your vote. Whether that's, drawing wrath from the Democrats, whether that's drawing wrath from the electorate, whoever. He just would talk about that. And so one of the consequences we've got is when we drop the hammer, and or as I call it, dropping a hammer, and cloture them, is then what they can do in terms of like having the budget read at length and things of that nature. That's why one of the reasons I want a rule change that says if you require a bill to be read at length, which you have the right to do, you got to keep your butt in the chamber. I think, what happens is they'll call a law bill to be read at length. They'll leave, and we don't know when they're coming back, and they can come back and say, yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm reining it in. I'm ready to go home. And so those are things that we have to weigh out as we go through. And our pro tem chief of staff is doing a good job communicating with the other side, trying not to surprise them. We've actually gone pretty smoothly this session to this point, but part of that has been by the calendar that we've had has not caused many major meltdowns. Now, we ran into some meltdowns on Thursday, and I suspect that we're going to have a contentious day tomorrow. So we do get into, as Dale Jackson says, that dang calendar, except maybe he says something else, but the calendar does catch us, and this year and sometimes I think it may be by design. Sometimes it just happens, but it's just weighing things out about where. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes these bills are not. The fight's not between D's and R's. It's fights between Republicans.
Mm-hmm. I from the outside looking in, we sit here and go, why in the world are we letting a few Democrats run this like ruby red supermajority state? And I get it. You have rules that you have to abide by. I don't know if you can change them mid quadrennium. I don't know what the rules are.
They're difficult to do that. You can do it. The issue about rules that I remind people is that I might need those rules. Two things. One, we may be in the minority, but the other thing, especially if it comes to, a certain bill that I'm just, abhor, because I've been able to go down there by myself and go in down with 3 amendments, which meant I get to talk all day and shut a bill down and get it taken off the calendar. Now, I so far hadn't had to go out there and really, prove it.
Do that, right.
But there's times, especially I think those of us on the farther right side of the spectrum, we need those rules to protect us.
Yeah, I get it. It's a double-edged sword, but I feel like sometimes we just want to be like, oh my God, you have the power. Just use the power. Okay, we've got to go to a break. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. You've always been one of my favorites to talk to because you're so honest. I'll never forget the first time watching you in John Merrill's voter fraud task force meetings. And I was like, I got to meet that guy. And so I really appreciate you and just being open and sometimes just telling it how it is,
It gets me in trouble sometimes.
Well, don't change. At least we appreciate it. But we keep us posted. We will be following along. And thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to visit. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Okay. JP.
Got about 1 minute till the break. So
we still have a minute? I could have asked like 6 more questions.
Well,
No.
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 But yeah, we're coming up on a break. We got about 45 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
He's fun. I really like him. I didn't know he did commercial real estate
Yeah.
and had how many grandkids? 5? 6?
6 on the way.
That's fabulous.
3 in 30 days. That's a doozy.
That is, oh my word. But grandchildren,
That is a doozy.
they are delightful. They are super delightful. Okay, so when we come back, we have hot flesh news, right?
That we do.
And then after that, we'll wrap up the other stories we haven't gotten to yet, like the doozy of a story that's going on between Wes Allen and John Wahl.
Yeah, I think we should cover that first and then end on hot flash news.
Okay.
Do we have to cover it? The saga continues. We'll be back on the right side.
JP here with Rightside. I need to remind you that Inspire Advisors is one of our sponsors, and they are doing amazing work. We know this audience, and you're the kind of folks who believe in standing up for your principles and being good stewards of your resources. What if the companies you're invested in don't reflect your values at all? That's why you need to meet Paul Breyer and his team at Inspire Advisors. Inspire Advisors, they are experts in the field of biblically responsible investing. They can help you grow your bottom line while also being proud of what companies you invest in. Inspire Advisors, you got to go check them out. Here's their website, www.moneypatternwealth.com, and tell them you heard about it on Right Side Radio.
Yes.
To be upset about, to be offended by, or to draw a line in the sand. This makes you on this side and me on this side. When we've missed the point. We need to go a little bit deeper than a soundbite, in my opinion.
But okay, so how did we get here? Before we move on with, how we handle this, but how did we get here? Is this a social media thing? Is it, yes, you're nodding.
Well, social media is definitely on the tail end of it, but it's been there before. It really, in my opinion, sociologically, you can go back to when we stopped asking for the third question and teaching critical thinking to our children. I can completely disagree with someone and respect their opinion, hold space for them to share it,
Right.
because I could learn from the other side. There are things I could learn. I mean, I was brought up in a very small bubble. I was born on a military base, lived overseas during Vietnam in a military base in Germany, and watched the way they did it. Troops would come back from Vietnam and they would come to Germany and get safe and healed a little bit more before they'd transport them back to Walter Reed in Maryland. And so that's what my first 6 years of life was seeing what that looked like. It's a very narrow point of view. I thought military, it was like God, country, family is the way I was raised. And that's just not it. So when I came back, it was a very different world. And so that's what we've got to recognize is people only know how to live from their experience. If they are not taught to think critically and they're not taught to respect everyone's opinions, and not just that the opinion is valid, their opinion can be valid and wrong.
That's good.
Truth does not bend. Truth is a fact. Truth is from God. And if that's not your starting point, you've got to come up with what your true north is, your compass. But if truth doesn't align with my personal opinion, I've got to do business with the Lord to figure out why it doesn't. And what have I set up that I think this is more important? The kindness. Like if kindness is your idol, it has to be done in a certain way. You like my 15-year-old will tell me, well, if you'd have said it nicely. I'm like, child, nice was the first 62,000 times I've said it to you. You are no longer getting nice. And she's like, but you lose the argument, Mom, when you raise your voice. And I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be horrible for me. I'm Italian. I'm like, But that's what we've got to do is we've got to learn how to hold our space without getting angry, without elevating. Because for me, volume doesn't mean I'm angry. Volume just means I'm passionate. But this generation doesn't understand anger and passion. That's why we've got a lot of discord around people getting involved in things they should not be involved in, getting in the way of ICE. And like I have that conversation almost on a daily basis with my 26 to 15-year-old children, how important it is for them to understand they're not protecting these people. They're getting in the way of law and order. And it's a hard concept for them because the social-minded, emotional generation that they're in thinks we have to protect these people. I'm like, who are you protecting? You know, and we have to have those conversations. Yeah.
So do you think then on and still staying with the how and the why, do you think that we're here because of all the concentration of social emotional learning in school without those concrete logical things that we learned? We learned how to think logically. We learned how to think critically, and then it just kind of evaporated. Because it seems to me that from all of the emphasis on social emotional learning, we also have then that spike in 20%? I had the 20-ish% of 18 to or Gen Zs have increased and think they're identifying as LGBTQ. I mean, like these things that they're agreeing to or saying they believe in don't make any sense unless they were schooled and trained in all of the SEL techniques. Is that part of it?
It is definitely part of it. I think there's, it's not a silo. Nothing is happening, you know, independent of the other. So you take that, you take this push towards tolerance, acceptance, and I don't mean that either one of those are wrong in theory, because they're not wrong in theory. But what it introduced is it's kind of like the law of unintended consequences. I wanted to do this, but it also did this. And so that unintended consequence was we muddied a lot of waters. And as we started teaching it younger and younger and younger, these children don't have the structure and the framework in their brain yet to feel safe when we discuss these topics. So that's why we've got so much anxiety in these kids, is because they're handling topics that we adults struggle to deal with, but we're giving it to them younger and younger and younger. And like my 15-year-old said the other day, well, is he heterosexual because that's all he's ever?
Welcome back to The Right Side. I am Amy Beth with Allison and JP. Before we get to hot flash news, we have a story that broke yesterday, and it was quite the story. Wes Allen, in one article I read, lobbed allegations about John Wahl, saying that he participated in an event and made it look like John Wahl was a Muslim sympathizer. And it kind of broke during the day yesterday. Guys, why don't we lay out what happened?
Do we want to read Wes Allen's statement that he put out?
We can.
I'm going to pull up the article here from Yellowhammer News. This was from Grayson Everett yesterday. This is Wes Allen's statement. When John Wahl chose to enter an Islamic center to celebrate the Muslim holiday of Ramadan earlier this month, he showed us that he does not share the same values as the majority of Alabamians. He can't spin this. There's no excuse for participating in the celebration of Islamic Ramadan, Allen said in a statement on Tuesday. And it continues, said, there's no excuse to go to a place that operates a mosque and a school to indoctrinate children into Islam, even if you are invited to do so. You will never find me in an Islamic center or a mosque. I am a committed Christian, and I want no part in Islam, and the vast majority of Republicans in the state and across the country agree with me.
So this is what I guess caught his attention, is Allen, from the same article, took aim at the Aniston Islamic Center, which, according to its own website, lists stated goals is the propagation of Islamic principles and teachings to both Muslims and non-Muslims, and the development of institutions to serve Islam and Muslims. But if you heard that and you thought, what in the Hale County is going on, you would be correct. Because what actually happened, you guys? What was John Wahl doing there?
I don't know.
Well, so John Wahl released a statement. It's a little bit long-winded, but I'll just put the beginning part where he explains it a little bit. It says, I was invited by local officials and community leaders to attend a community interfaith gathering, not a celebration of Ramadan. Wes Allen knows this, and he knows there were dozens of elected officials and other candidates there as well. This is nothing more than a desperate attempt by the Allen campaign to deceive voters. Says, I attended this event for one reason, to speak openly about my faith and the values that guide my life and public service. And goes on to say, you know, Jesus wants us to go and speak the gospel to those who don't believe the same as we do, and they want us to go into areas where Christianity is not accepted to try to bring those to Christ. While also, I mean, he's running to be lieutenant governor for all Alabamians, not just Christian Alabamians. So that was his explanation for why he was there.
And so it goes with the usual, not everything that you think once you investigate, go, oh, huh. Because at first it is outrageous. What was he doing there? And it turns out, like he said, there were dozens of elected officials. So if people are elected to office, does that mean they won't go to other interfaith ceremonies? Will they just be busy? Like, what does that look like? Because there's one thing to go and you are Mom Donnie sitting on the floor in whatever building they were in New York City, eating dates. And the outside world goes, that doesn't look right. Versus something like this where a lot of people were in attendance. But what do you guys think?
I would, I don't know. Let me say we invited Wes Allen and John Wahl to come on the show to speak about this. Wes Allen, his campaign responded and said he was booked throughout the week. Never heard back from John Wahl. So I hate to speak for them, but if I'm guessing, John Wahl just went to. Yeah, it goes back to that conversation we had with Philip Brown, the chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party last week of foundationally worldview in a lot of ways. Well, yes, we're very different from the Muslims, but we're not talking about a church religion accepting. We're talking about a Republican Party. So it gets kind of blurry of that. Yes, if you're running for lieutenant governor, you still have to represent all people that are in your state. And Muslims, their community traditionally is very conservative. Now, so much so they'll throw the gays off the top of buildings. They maybe take it a little far, and they'll chop Christians' heads off if they have to. But socially, they are very conservative. And so in some ways, they probably identify more with the Republican Party. So it's kind of this catch-22. I just don't know why, if I'm John Wahl and I in this political climate right now, I think there's a way you can reach out to the Muslim community without going into their space. I think that was an error on his part. I don't think he's like condoning the Muslim religion and the Islamists and all the radical. But I still am like, why would you don't have to go there to show that you're still going to represent the Muslim community. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, why would you give Wes Allen this ammunition? It was so unnecessary, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think as when I listened to Dan Bongino every day and was a fan of Dan Bongino not too long ago, he would always say certain people like to tell a story, not the story. I think that was a little bit of that from Wes Allen here. I think he told a story of John Wahl was at an Islamic center that operates as a mosque and was taking pictures with Muslims inside the mosque and was celebrating Ramadan alongside them. He made it look like he was going to celebrate going to a Ramadan event with Muslims in a mosque, celebrating alongside them, and then put the picture to try to make it look that way, where I don't think that was the full picture. And I think he was being dishonest about what the event was. I think, like what John Wahl said, there was other Christians there as well to talk about their faith. I don't know what the event as a whole was necessarily, but I think it's clear John Wahl was not going there to celebrate Ramadan alongside Muslims in a mosque. I just don't think that was the case. But I also agree with you. If you're in a very contested and heated race like this one, it seemed like a political blunder to take a picture, with like, and this was months ago, but I agree. I think
it was March 5th.
I thought he said earlier this month. Not this, yeah. So earlier, it was, a couple of weeks ago. I I think this was a political blunder from John Wahl, to give West that ammunition, but also I think West maybe showed a little bit of desperation on his part with something like that, because if you got to twist it so much into something that it wasn't, like there just wasn't the real story, then I think that's a little bit of an indictment on you that you put out a full-fledged statement. It's kind of like the Nehemiah Wall video. I don't know. So I think both are correct. I think West twisted it to something it wasn't, but also probably not very smart on John Wall, politically speaking.
Who else was at that meeting?
I don't know.
I saw the list of names, but I didn't know any of the other ones.
So probably local.
Yeah, it was local officials. I don't think there were any other statewide candidates, nobody that we would know. But you do see in the picture that's floating around, if you zoom in on the right side,
She said it.
if you look at the right side and zoom in, there's like a placard on a table that says political candidates. It's not like it was a community meeting. It didn't have the feel of like some religious ceremony. Do you know what I'm saying? So I this is what you do in politics. I hate to say it. This is what you do. And every candidate does it, or every PAC for every candidate does it. You take a half truth and you spin it the way you want to spin it. It's why we talk so much about reading past the headline, and really digging in and doing your own research on it. Because yes, John Wahl went and spoke at a Muslim community dinner, and yes, I guess he was reaching out to Muslims, but do I think that he's condone, I mean,
He
it's
was
just,
kneeling to pray with them.
yes, that he's eating dates barefoot in City
Yeah.
Hall. No. And so, but you also have to be smart, and like, you don't have to say yes to every event. Like, probably, especially with all the Sharia law talk and everything that's coming down from DC, I just think it was, I don't know, unforced error,
Yeah, a blunder. Yeah,
a blunder.
I agree. But also, and I'll just say this last part of, I agree with John Wall. Us as Christians, we should be going into those areas to try
Right.
to evangelize
Right.
those, and especially with the Muslim community, they're actually a lot further along than others in terms of they revere Jesus. They actually think he's going to return. They just don't think he's God. So there's an entry point with the Islam community to bring them to Christ. So that doesn't mean we go along with what they believe, but we should go into these areas and evangelize as a Christian. But I agree, politically speaking, you probably need to think about how that's going to get twisted before doing it.
Yeah. Abs, what do you think?
I think it's going to be something that whoever is elected to office is going to have to wrestle with, because we have an unwillingness to actually deal with the fact that Islam is here. They are saying that they're here to dominate and subjugate. They are not mincing words. And so, as elected officials across our state, with Islamic centers all across the state as well, what are we going to do? What are you going to do if it's an interfaith ceremony versus they're inviting you to come in and break fast after Ramadan? Are those two different situations? I don't know. But will you use those situations not only to build relationships, but also ask why it's okay for you to beat your wife if you want to, or lie? Like, are you going to use that as an opportunity, or are you just there because every elected official's there and that's just the thing that as a PAC you guys decided to go to? I don't know. But it is something we are going to have to deal with, and it's not going to get less common. I believe it will become more.
It's not, I mean, there are a lot of candidates, and I don't know if we want to get into this, but it kind of falls in the realm of, there are a lot of candidates. There are a lot of organizations that have partnered with the Log Cabin Republicans, which is the gay Republican clubs, especially up in Huntsville. Like Moms for Liberty has several, I mean, lots of candidates have gone and spoken at their clubs. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. I mean, because you can be gay and be a Republican.
I think we fight alongside those people on areas we agree on without falling into their
Compromising.
lifestyle. Yeah.
Is it the same with the Muslim community, or is that different?
The Muslim community is different because, I mean, I think values wise, I mean, the big tent Republicans would disagree, but I think if Christ is at the center of your conservatism, as it should be, it's a bit different. I think, if certain parts of the Islam community wants to help us in the transgenderism, whatever, certain areas, sure. But I just think as a whole, like the log cabin Republicans are very much against the grooming of children, and they spearhead a lot of those fights. So I think as a whole, we can fight alongside certain battles, but we have to be selective and we have to be aware who we're partnering with and be smart and don't compromise, I think.
This will continue. So TBC. All right, then. JP?
What? Do we want to get the hot flash news now?
Yes.
The show?
Yes, we do. It's time.
I'm wondering, Allison's giving me looks. Is she ready?
Oh, I was just waiting. Yeah, I didn't know if we were done.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, first we got to play the K Ivy video.
Excuse me.
Trying so hard.
That's what they're gonna hear when the ghost of K Ivy haunts the new state house. They're just gonna hear the trumpet behind them coming up with.
I think her and Guy Hunt will hang out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go to the cafeteria together to eat butter beans
And hot dogs.
on a plastic tray.
Some may say the ghost of K Ivy is our current governor.
That's good,
That's
JP.
pretty good. California College cancels governor's debate because lefties were upset that the candidates were all white.
Were the lefties themselves, some of them white?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Republicans and Democrats. Everybody was white. I guess we're canceling white people.
I guess.
White people have no homeland. I mean, white people, we don't even have our own indigenous place anymore. Right? That's basically what they're saying.
Right.
Like every other race, religion has their spot. Where are we supposed to go?
To
The
the
moon?
grave.
The grave would be best.
Yes.
Now, does that apply to the leftist, libtard white people that are trying to take and decolonize us? Like, do they have to go live on the moon too?
Oh yeah, they want to. A lot of them would like to erase themselves along with the race because it's a self-hating,
So they need to, they're going to go.
Make that make sense.
Everybody except gingers though, because they're part of the African American community.
They're safe.
They're at the cookout.
Another stupid news. Not the Beavers reporting that there's a Maryland Democrat that on the House floor, they are explaining in their bill why they need appropriately sized tampons in men's rooms. Men's
Adult
bathrooms.
humans are saying this.
Yes. The female legislator keeps asking, like, what to this male legislator, what is appropriately sized tampon? What does that mean for the men's rooms? And he said, well, and she said they list 4 different sizes that they're thinking about funding. Okay. And then eventually he gets around to saying, well, just tampons. And she said, well, why didn't you just write tampons? And then she said, is this going to be in the Ravens Stadium men's rooms as well? Y'all, that's where we are. We're not even talking about just having tampons in men's rooms. Now we have to have the appropriately sized ones.
Oh, bless.
I don't even know what that means.
I know. No one does.
Because if you're a male, if you're a female, wait, hold on, I'm confusing myself. If you're a male in the male's bathroom and you need a tampon, well, you're really just a female, and I don't really think there's any difference in size.
Good grief.
I don't know. Y'all are the experts on
Is
this
that-
one. I don't know. I can't tell you.
I mean, no wonder the man looking at the lady asking the question was like, oh, yeah, no wonder you don't know. You're not supposed to.
He had no clue how to answer that. But y'all, I don't know if that's appropriate to talk about on this show, but that's the level of ridiculousness we're at in America these days. That happened in I don't know if it was the House or Senate chamber. Public record.
I've had one experience in my life with tampons being in a men's room.
What did you do?
And it was at Duke University.
Of course it was.
My friend was a big Duke fan. He invited me to a Duke game, and we were in I think the bookstore, and we were in the men's bathroom, and we were in middle school or freshman in high school, and we saw a tampon dispenser in there. And of course, being middle school or freshman in high school, we started throwing them at each other. And then somebody
Good for you.
we didn't know anybody else was in there, and an old guy walked out of the stall in the crossfire of the tampon being thrown across. And just goes, "Y'all having too much fun, aren't you?" And then left. But yeah,
it's a good man.
You should have just flushed them all down the toilet.
I know, right? That's crazy.
I don't know. I mean, do they not get stolen? Or do people actually respect it? That's a lot of money.
I know. It's probably going to be, I would think, vandalized to some extent.
Shameful. It is.
Okay. In more serious news, the CDC is reversing their course on autism and vaccines claim.
Are they?
Yes. The Epic Times, which I don't subscribe, so I can't get all the way. It already said. But yes, they are reporting that they are now saying there may be a link between autism and vaccines.
Perhaps.
What?
This is a big deal.
We done been telling you.
We told you, except for we weren't allowed to ask questions when our kids were coming along.
Seems like score another one for us.
Yeah.
For the
it's getting kind of tough
tunes.
Being right.
Winning is exhausting.
So exhausting.
Representative Tim Burchett revealed to Benny Johnson that UFO scientists were found dead after testifying to Congress about UFO files. Have y'all been watching this?
I've read the headlines. I haven't read much into the story.
This is amazing. Can you please tell people how many people are dead?
Right now, it's 5. Retired Air Force Major General William Neal McCaslin, missing since February 27th of 2026. Monica Reza, vanished June 22nd, 2025. MIT fusion physicist Nuno Lorio was shot in December 2025. He's the one that was shot up at Brown University. Caltech astrophysicist Carl Grillmeyer shot February 16th at his home. And Novartis scientist Jason Thomas's body was found March 2026 after disappearing in December 2025. But all these people are testifying about UFOs. Tim Burchett said, "Something dark is going on. I know these scientists and researchers, they have testified. We've got to very much get to the bottom of it. It's just too much. Too much is going on right now. And by the way, I'm not suicidal."
Gosh. Isn't he the head of a UFO?
I mean, he's the guy.
Doge. Yeah. But he has been leading. I mean, remember when we had him on probably 3 years ago on in our former life on our old radio show, and we asked him about UFOs, and we all thought he was insane. And now apparently Trump's coming out with something.
I just, why are these people dead?
Yeah.
I mean, look, we asked questions 20 years ago about autism and vaccines, and it turns out now they're like, well, maybe. And we are believers here. So whatever related to aliens, they're demons. But why are these people being shot? Like, are killed? Or like, why? Why the connection between that and these unexplained and unexpected murders?
Yeah.
Disappearances. Make that make sense.
Well, David Grush, who is a UFO whistleblower, former Navy pilot, I believe, he's gone on interviews before and talked about how people have died from this, but also he himself with his family had an instance of, he said he didn't go into details, but he just said there was an incident at his house when his family was home, and he now he's not without security at his house. And it said it was like, he alluded to the fact it was government officials. So I think it's real. That's an area, there's certain areas, if you're going to go into, you got to know what you're getting into. That's one of them. And then you got to ask, why is that? It's kind of crazy.
It is very crazy. Very.
Makes you not want to go to Redstone Arsenal and snoop around.
I think I've reversed course.
Beep. beep, beep, beep.
But if there's any whistleblowers on Redstone, the offer's still out there. Just saying.
We'll disguise ourselves.
Yeah.
Speaking of, this is actually kind of cool. And I don't know why we haven't done this. I know Gary Palmer has been talking about nuclear energy for a long time, like way before it was cool. AL.com reporting that new groundbreaking nuclear reactors are coming to Alabama and what it means for utility prices. I think this is not the giant ones, but like the small little nuclear reactors. Why not? President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takatachi met last week and announced Japan's commitment to up to $40 billion for small modular nuclear reactors known as SMRs in Alabama and Tennessee as part of the second tranche of investments under last year's U.S.-Japanese deal. That would be, according to Barron's, Bellefonte in Hollywood, Alabama, approximately 45 miles east of Huntsville is expected to be the site of the reactors. But with all the data centers and all that and all that's going on with Alabama Power, like, isn't this a natural option?
It is. I don't know why we haven't done it before. I really don't.
It seems like it could bring jobs and some energy independence. Dale Strong says Alabama has a strong history of supporting nuclear energy initiatives, and our second to none workforce stands ready to deliver on advanced energy innovation.
Very interesting.
I don't understand the fear behind nuclear energy as a whole.
I mean,
don't listen to the story on what happened at Fukushima. Okay? Just don't.
Or Chernobyl.
Don't do it. It's a great podcast, but it makes sense. My father-in-law was always a big fan of nuclear, always wanted us to try more. So this is encouraging that we're at least exploring the space.
There's one more I want to get to. The Student Athlete Act of 2026 curtailing transfer portal chaos. This is Tommy Tuberville. It gives athletes 5 years to play 5 seasons while also penalizing a player 1 year for transferring a second time.
That's good.
You think it's fair?
I think that's great.
We got to bring balance back. This is out of control.
But it would bring the subjectivity out of it from the NCAA of like, well, you can get another year, but you can't. You can get another year, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's like nobody knows the where the lines are. And so in terms of intervention from Congress, I think this is a great one.
It would also bring help to the whole NIL conversation and rewarding people who stay. Like there's a lot of good things I think will come out of it. Now, the one part that never really gets talked about is what if you really do have a coach who's inept? What if you really do have a coach who's corrupt? Or I'll just leave it at that. What if you have that?
Yeah.
What if you have somebody who you get there and they're like, I don't really like this kid. We're focused so much on the kids. We haven't actually had the conversation about what if it's a coaching issue? What's the recourse for those kids? So I think there is value in limiting the amount of transfers you can have, but at the same time, we have not even gotten close to the conversation from the player's point of view about the coaches who promise the sun, moon, stars, and perhaps Mars and Venus, and then nothing comes out on their end. So that's the other part of the argument.
If I understand this one, you could transfer once, and then your second time you'd have to sit out a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the answer is. We've created a monster.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And who else would you want trying to get the monster under control than the NCAA? Because they're awesome.
We love them.
They're great.
No, Coach Tuberville's going to handle this. Him and Nick, they got it under control. It's really pretty simple. I bet the two of them could come up with something that would work well.
Wartide.
There you go. We didn't get to play Would You Rather, and we didn't get to a topic that I want to talk about tomorrow.
What's that?
Jared and I watched on PBS. It's called Frontline, and it's video from the front line of the Ukrainian-Russian war. I have thoughts and questions for y'all. It's bizarre. Can we do that tomorrow?
Let's do it tomorrow.
Okay. We'll have that. A bunch of other stuff. I don't even know what, but It'll be fun and entertaining and newsworthy. We'll see you tomorrow on the right side.